PokeMMO is one of my favorite games. When I tell people to get into it, I often tell people how rewarding it is. How shiny hunting in games like Scarlet and Violet have kind of gotten cheapened by new methods making things easier, and how on PokeMMO your achievements actually feel like they matter. And yesterday, the developers of the game nearly dropped the worst update of all time.
Automatically, so it's and then even being charitable to permanent incubators. What the fuck is this? What the fuck is temporary? Why? Sorry, it makes I'm being a little instinctive, but I'm trying. This is just pay for advantage, right?
Every hardcore shiny hunter reacted to this post the same way that Petrowski, the game's biggest content creator, did. He is someone who, even in the darkest times of this game, tries to be a beacon of positivity, and this update was bad enough for him to say it shouldn't even hit the servers. This update, to put it frankly, is a cash grab. There is no reason that this should have been pushed out in such a broken state. Within 15 minutes of the server being live, it went down because 9,000 players were affected by a bug in the global marketplace. I've been told that some of the new items were supposed to last an hour, or only lasting for 1 minute. And also, a lot of the quality of life changes that were implemented in the past were completely reversed. All they wanted to do was get the Egg Incubators update out before the game-wide shiny hunting competition, Shiny Wars, at all costs. For those of you who don't know, Shiny Wars is an event that PokeMMO hosts yearly, inspired by in-game guild events that players would make themselves. It's teams of 30, and players have to scramble around the map to find as many shinies as possible. Some shinies are worth more points than others, and the winning team and the MVP player receive the extremely rare Sparkling Charcoal Dragon Wings, which are untradeable, meaning that this is the only way to obtain them. Obviously, when you have a prize this sick looking in a video game, nerds like me take it super seriously. People prepare all year long for this, buying up supplies for Dittos, shiny charms, all sorts of stuff like that. Dittos in specific, they get consumed every time you roll for a high point shiny in this game. So, if you're hunting efficiently, you're going to be burning a ton of Dittos already. I believe the estimate for some of the more try-hard teams is going through about 25,000 Dittos in a month. The dark side of PokeMMO is how much this all costs. The game has a donation system, where you're able to give the developers real-life money for a reward point voucher, and these can be sold on the marketplace for the in-game currency called yen, meaning you can effectively swipe your card on the game to get in-game money. And Shiny Wars costs a ton if you want to win. I'll make it brief, but PokeMMO's shiny rate is also extreme. It's 1 in 30,000 for a shiny. While this makes the game overall feel more rewarding when you hit something rare, the problem comes when you factor in the money side of things. At current reward points / donation prices, you're going to be spending on average 900 US dollars for any of these shinies. And if you get unlucky, that could be even more money that you're spending. The Egg Incubators update that almost hit the game would have allowed you to hatch eggs 3 times faster, meaning that what used to be a 500-hour grind would have turned into a 166-hour grind, but only if you pay $50 more each attempt at odds for each of your egg hunts. While changing the meta for this type of stuff isn't necessarily a bad thing, it 100% is in this context. Not only is it completely gut-wrenching to think about how many hours players spent before on egg shiny hunting, only to have all of their grinds somewhat devalued by making it literally 3 times faster, but to have all of this dropped on us before the competition centered around this is absolutely absurd. To put this into perspective, this is similar to like if a game like RuneScape decided to change their special attack bars to be 3 times faster before their PvP event, but only if you buy an extra bond every month for it to activate. If you are playing at max efficiency during this Shiny Wars, this means that instead of 25,000 eggs you could hatch in the month-long event, you'd be able to hatch 75,000, tripling the cost, and turning it into an absolute logistical nightmare to get that many Dittos. The event has already had an effect on the market, taking the price of Dittos from 5,000 apiece to about 6,500 apiece on the marketplace. An update that triples the speed at which you can consume Dittos during a competitive event would have nuked the market, causing the average player to have to spend more to get their favorite shinies, even if they're not in Shiny Wars. They knew this, and they tried to drop this update on us anyway. The extent at which the developers needed to get this update out before the shiny hunting competition was absurd. A lot of the players did pre-hunting for Shiny Wars. That's how dedicated the players are to this game. Some of them are willing to sit with a shiny for 8 hours plus and then catch it when the event starts. The developers knew this and even messaged some of them, saying that this update was dropping no matter what. Here's a picture of the player Chicken Pasta, who was holding a shiny Venipede. Those players who found those shinies before war started and tried to hold on to them weren't able to get points for their team, no matter how long they waited. My problem with PokeMMO stems from the way the developers treat us. One of the top players of PokeMMO, Pookie John, who is a part of a team that has prepared all year for this Shiny Wars, wrote the following forums post.
With the debate a week or so ago regarding the now canceled delay of the official Shiny War, I wanted to bring up the result of that conversation and how the devs mentioned a quality of life update in July. With official Shiny Wars kicking off in basically 24 hours from this post, I wanted to open up a discussion around what this could mean for both casual and competitive teams alike. Quality of life updates are something to celebrate. Improved interfaces, streamlined mechanics, better player experience, but when they drop right before or during a major community event, like Shiny Wars, it raises some interesting questions in my opinion. While I obviously can't and won't speculate on details on what this could mean, I can't help but wonder what changes, particularly ones mentioned previously by devs and potential new implementations they're planning, would be included in this update and how that might affect the integrity of competition. Timing-wise, it's something that should be thought about. I would love some transparency or communication, and I have some questions. What and when are these quality of life changes going to be implemented? Are there any changes that would affect Shiny War drastically for players who have prepped and players who haven't prepped? In the future, is it really a good idea to have significant system adjustments during or just before major community run events? Do you think quality of life updates can sometimes unintentionally affect competitive balance? Again, I'm not trying to stir panic. I'm just a player who cares and wants to open a respectful space to think ahead and talk as a community before the event begins and give the devs an opportunity to communicate with the player base. Looking forward to hearing everybody's thoughts, and good luck to all the participants tomorrow. May the odds shine in your favor.
This was on a forum thread that had a lot of the head staff being at least somewhat active, the official announcement post for the Shiny Wars event. The developers attempted to try and delay the event that plenty of people had prepared, taken off work for, and the community kind of had a similar reaction to when, like, Cyberpunk had those delays. I don't know if you guys remember that. But in specific, the question, in the future, is it really a good idea to have significant system adjustments before a major community-run event, is my favorite. No other game would rework balancing like this, right before an event that has to do with that balancing. 60 people reacted to this forum post, which is actually a lot for a small forum, specifically for a small game like PokeMMO. They said nothing about this, and they dropped this stinker of an update on us 30 minutes before the event started. Developer transparency has been a talking point for the entire community for years now, and they just made it so much worse. I'm writing this script 4.5 hours into Shiny Wars, and the game isn't even back up yet. That's the state of brokenness they were willing to shove this update out in, just to try and get this extremely pay-to-win mechanic out. Shiny Wars is a huge thing in PokeMMO, and a lot of us were looking forward to grinding it all day. The planning for this event has been an absolute and total disaster from the PokeMMO dev team. Thankfully, the PokeMMO community is strong. Petrowski's stream on the subject, player backlash, and honestly the overall negative sentiment from the community in the last few months caused them to scrap the sales of the incubators until at least next month. What's scary to me though is the flagrant disregard to the players. How could this fucking thing have gotten past the idea stage? The problem with egging has always been the money, not the time investment. They'll never change that, and that's evident with Q's response, which not only had no apology, but also alluded to the fact that the temporary incubators might come back, even after getting utterly fucking flamed for it. While some may say there's a lot of great things about this update, like an encounter counter, I'm personally of the opinion that the only reason that there's even things like this in the update is so they can soften the blow when they drop shitty things like the incubators. They always do this type of thing to us. Even with the initial backlash of the Shiny War delay, Rachel's response was to drop that it was for the encounter tracker, the horde update, and the QOL updates. I don't think they would have ever mentioned this to us if they weren't getting backlash from the community. They are notorious for never saying anything that's coming in an update until it drops, hence why they decided not to include the egg incubators in that very same forums comment. They knew it was bad and they still gave it to us. They don't care. Finally, after hours upon hours of waiting, they finally let the game go live. It still has numerous bugs, lots of them applicable to shiny hunting. Here's my friend Warwick's game crashing as he attempts to retrieve his eggs from the incubators, which is apparently a problem that has been happening to multiple people. I'd just like to say that I'm so fucking proud that we didn't let them get away with this incubator bullshit during this event. It's yet to be seen if it'll come in the future, but I think for now, we're in the clear. The fact that they were willing to push an update this bad 30 minutes before an event that their most dedicated players have been preparing all year for scares me. The streamer Minish, who is often one of the more critical kind of content creators of the game, predicted this in one of his most recent videos. This clip specifically has aged like fine wine.
Take their own team and takes randoms over it. As for Shiny Wars, no, I believe Shiny Wars is just a creation to take money from the player. If the game cared about us in any capacity, they would have changed any of the million issues. We actually made a document the other day.
Regardless of the encounter counter and the cosmetic changes, which both have their own pushback, I think this update is one of the most blatantly bad ones they've ever put out. And that's coming from somebody that mainly plays the game as like a mercher, and there's a ton of great merching stuff that they put in this update. I really hope that they learn from this sort of thing. The PokeMMO community for shiny hunting is one of the most dedicated fan bases, and we're sick and tired of being treated this way. Leave a comment with your thoughts on this update. I'd really love to hear all of your opinions. Like always, guys, take care.